This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs. This is episode number 51. Whew. And I am so excited today because I have a really, really talented person on the show. Today's interview is with Kevin Temmer. He is a 3D animator and he is also a singer-songwriter. I mean, wow. He worked on films like at Blue Sky Studios. He worked on the films like Ice Age and Ferdinand, Spies in Disguise, just to name a few. He then goes on to work for Jam City and does gaming animation, as well as now he's working with Squanch Games doing all kinds of things there, but gaming animation as well. Super talented. You can find him over on YouTube at Kevin Temmer Tunes, where he's creating his own songs and music and animations. Amazing. He also has quite a following, pretty huge following over on TikTok, if you want to check him out over there. Just so talented, and he really breaks down what it's like to get into and work in the world of animation and his story, his journey of how he went about that. Really loaded with lots of helpful advice, and he's just so likable and charming. You guys are really going to enjoy this episode. And if you are enjoying these episodes, please hit that subscribe button and share it with your creative friends, because these people are showing you how it's done. I mean, here's all the information on how you become a success in a creative field. So please share them away. Please support the arts. We need more art in the world, and I also deeply appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. So stay tuned now for this really interesting, inspirational episode with super talented Kevin Temmer. Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Hi, happy to be here.
Wow. So this is really just an honor because you have such a huge following everywhere. But you are a 3D animator, and you're also a songwriter and composer. You do music composition as well, correct?
Yes.
And I was kind of like going around. I'm brand new to TikTok, and I myself was looking at different animators, and I saw what you're doing, and it's just amazing. You've worked on some really incredible films like Ice Age and Ferdinand, and let's see, was it Spies in Disguise that just came out?
Yeah.
That just get released?
Yeah, I think the other year it got really pretty recent.
Pretty recently. So, oh my gosh, I cannot wait just to dive into all of this, your whole creative journey and how you even got there. So let's go way back, and let me ask you where you are from. Tell me about where your child is.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Florida, actually.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually where I went to art college. I went to Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, where I majored in computer animation, and that's where I got a lot of my, animation education and everything.
Did you, when you were really young, did you have were you cartoon drawing and sketching and stuff? Was there a moment like when you were younger that you thought, this is it, this is what I want to do?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been into that stuff since I can remember. I was always drawing. I remember I would make these little books just by like taping a bunch of pieces of paper together, just taping all my drawings together into these giant books of just all the characters I would draw all the time. So yeah, I was always into that sort of thing, always into art and drawing and cartoons, all of that.
Very fun. So were your parents supportive of you pursuing something in the arts?
Yes, I'm extremely lucky because I know this is definitely not always the case, but yes, they were from the get-go. They were always supportive of my interest in art, and they were the ones that found Ringling, the college, and that helped me get that jump start on it. So I'm extremely lucky because I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without them.
That's really, that is a very nice story to hear. So all you parents out there, support your kids in the arts, because we need more of it in the world, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really nice. I really love to hear that. And yeah, I wasn't not surprised. I can imagine you being that kid making all those like little animated flip books and stuff. So I find animation like so super fascinating. Like it's evolved so much from the hand drawing into the computer technology. And so so you went into that to study you said computer animation, right,
Yes.
at college. Um, it seems so complicated and difficult. Was it a process of learning how to do this, or how did that look like for you?
It definitely was a process. Now, I did have experience with computer animation before going to college because I was always, really into that sort of stuff, and I tried, finding software online and fiddling around with it. So I've always been into that sort of creative problem solving on the computer. So when I went to college, of course, the software we use there, Autodesk Maya, is different than the software that I was currently using. So there definitely was a learning curve, but I think having some experience in it beforehand, or having some experience just animating on the computer and stuff beforehand, really helped me out. Because it's sort of, even though it's different software, it's like the same kind of problem solving mentality. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that gave me a little jump start to it. But yeah, definitely, it definitely was a process, and I'm still learning today. I mean, animation is definitely something that's extremely difficult. It requires a lot of patience and time and energy, and it's definitely like other fields of art. It's definitely one of those things that you never really stop learning. You
Right.
just keep learning forever.
Oh my gosh, I have like so many questions. You just brought all that up. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of graphic design, and like the programs are always evolving, and there's more things that come out. You're constantly updating and YouTubing how to do something because the programs are so huge now. Yeah, it's hard to remember how to use everything. Um, oh my gosh. So was that a 4-year degree that you got then?
Yes, yeah, 4 years.
Then well, tell me what happened after college.
Right. So the cool thing about Ringling is that they have recruiters from different companies come to
Mm,
the campus to do interviews right there on campus. And one of the companies that came there was Blue Sky Studios. And the first time they came and interviewed me, I applied for an internship for them and didn't get it. But then the next year, when I applied again, I got it that time. So, them coming to the campus definitely helped out with that, helped, jumpstart my career. And yeah, so right after college, I was able to hop right into an internship at Blue Sky Studios. Another thing, I was very fortunate because, that's not always the case. Sometimes people are, waiting a bit after college before they find work. So I just got, very, very lucky with that. And that internship led to a full-time job at Blue Sky where I worked for a few years. So I was very lucky to have that smooth transition, you know.
yeah, I think internships are really wonderful because I noticed that I have 3 daughters that are in college right now, and the internships kind of build your confidence a little bit because I think you come out of college thinking, I'm, I can't do all of that, and it's very intimidating to go into. Especially, I didn't. Blue Sky Studio is a big studio, and then to uh, you know, just start working right now. It's nice to have that little baby step in between where you're learning it. Um,
For
so
sure. And I mean, I personally feel like, we were all under a lot of pressure. We all felt like if we didn't get an internship out of college, that we failed, and that's just not the case. And that's what happened. I know people who didn't get an internship or work right away. It took kind of a while, but then they were able to find something and go into the field. And I think it's important to know that you don't have to find the work right away. Sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes there's so many factors that go into it. Being at the right place at the right time, having the sort of thing that a certain company wants. There's just so much that goes into it, and I feel like it's important to know that you don't have to get to the place you want to be right away, or you don't even
Mm.
really have to get to the specific place you want to be at all. Sometimes your career branches out in different paths that you don't necessarily predict, but
Yeah,
sometimes it just turns out for the best.
right. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really helpful. And I think also nowadays, I mean, you can kind of create your own platform like you've done. Like if you don't want to wait around for that internship or that job, you could start just posting your creations on YouTube or TikTok or any of those various
Oh
platforms.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're living in such an amazing time. I mean, it's hard to tell because so much crazy stuff has happened lately, but in terms of technology and individuality, it's such an amazing time for artists because you can, like you said, you just create your own stuff. You don't have to be reliant on studios to get your work in front of a big audience because of platforms like TikTok and YouTube. And it takes time and a lot of luck to gain that audience over time, but the fact that anyone can potentially have that audience is just amazing. And just the technology that everyone has access to now just allows people to create these high quality things that used to be exclusive to requiring a whole studio. But things are so different now that essentially anyone can make their own show or movie and put it on the internet for people to watch. It's really amazing and inspiring.
Yeah, it's kind of that inbound marketing thing, whereas it's that preparation meeting opportunity. So if it's something that speaks to you and you want to do it, you can create your own channel and start putting it out there. And then people may take notice of that and then come to you instead of you having to go find the agent, then find the studio, and then get the producer, and then all of those things that the way it used to be done, which is probably, I'm sure it's still being done that way. But I mean, I was just talking to Madeline Turner, who's a film screenwriter, and she's huge on TikTok, and that's exactly her story. Like they came to her, she was just putting out content and got noticed, because it was good. It's one thing to have all this great technology, which is fantastic. You're right for the artist, but you still got to be really creative, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely still requires a lot of work and a lot of patience. I've had a lot of trial and error when it comes to social media, and it's still kind of like that for me. I still have hits and misses, but
Are you kidding me? Huge
it's true
following.
though. It's true. Like there's a lot of times I post something and I think it's going to do really well, and then it doesn't. So
Oh,
that sort of thing
yeah.
still happens all the time, where I'm like, I think I understand what the internet likes, and then I'm like, I guess I didn't understand.
So when that's interesting, are you creating for the internet, or are you creating for yourself?
It's definitely kind of a mix,
Hmm.
because an idea will pop into my head that I like, and if I think, oh, I like this, and oh, I think other people will like this too, um, then that sort of gives me the motivation to give it a shot. But it is very easy to get lost in that and to start thinking of the internet or thinking what other people like before what you like. And I think
Right.
it's important to try to hold on to the idea that you should be creating for yourself and try not to get too lost in the opinions of others.
Right. I mean, and the bigger that you get, I'm sure that that gets even more challenging. It's great to be small like me because I just can do whatever I want.
No, there
And if
definitely
nobody
is,
likes it,
yeah,
I'm
a
like, I
freedom
don't
in that.
care.
Exactly. I think that's the right mentality to have, though. If there's a way you can, hold on to that as you grow, I think that's really important because, like I said, it is just so easy to get lost in all of it and to take other people's opinions personally. Like you're supposedly supposed to have a thick skin in this industry, but I still find it hard at times to do that just because when you make something and you put it out there, it's like you're putting a piece of yourself out there and for
100.
everyone to
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah, it's true. And it is hard to like put it out there and then detach from it once you do it. And I think the important thing is to remember that we're so much more than our social media, though. I mean, we
Yes,
have
absolutely.
full lives outside of that where we're creating. I know some. incredible artists who have no social media, and they're just beyond fabulous. So, you know, it's something to not take, I think, too seriously. But on the other hand, it can be super helpful if you're trying to, get work in a certain field and you have a voice that you want to put out there. It's a nice tool to have in your toolbox. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a balancing act of just
Yeah.
trying to put a lot of time and effort into it, but don't put all of yourself into it.
Yeah, and don't you think, like, as creatives, like, we really need downtime? I know I need that quiet time too when I'm concepting something. So to be constantly on something that's, you're looking at other people's stuff, I don't know. Sometimes I'd like just that turn it off and have that downtime away
Oh,
from it
for
all.
sure. I think that that's super important because it is very easy to get lost in it and consumed by it.
Yeah,
Social
I
media in
recently found
general.
that out with TikTok. It was like, oh my gosh. It's like a half an hour totally went by in a second. And I was like, oh geez, this is like not good. Oh,
Exactly.
I want to ask you, I went on your YouTube channel and I saw that I love the if student loans could sing. It was so cute. And you were singing it. Did you write that and put it all together and compose it with the music and everything?
Yeah, yeah. I made everything in there from
Wow.
scratch.
Wow. That's amazing. So you're very okay. Look, I was a dancer for a long time. You were not tap dancing, but you did give a nice show. Did you study theater as well in high school or in college?
No, but I always wish I did because I feel like it would have given me another outlet back then and maybe would have led to something else different now. Who knows? But I mean, I've always been into that sort of thing. I grew up listening to Broadway musicals, thanks to my parents, especially my mom. And yeah, I love musicals. I love that sort of thing.
I
Um,
love it too. And you know what? You're really talented at it. Like you really have a confidence about you that it's very believable and it's very fun. It was really entertaining. I
oh,
liked
thank you.
it a lot. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Blue Sky Studios because that's where you were able to work with making the movies of Ice Age and Ferdinand, and those are fantastic movies. Um, so you go to work there. Were you like a junior designer, or was there a team of designers, or was it like, hey, we want this scene, just do this?
Right. So my official title there was junior animator, and yeah, so we had a team of animators, pretty big group. I'm trying to remember the exact number, but I think somewhere in the range to 40 to 50 animators, maybe more.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of animators. Often some were working on one movie and others were working on another. Um, and yeah, so essentially, we they give you a shot in the movie, um, and that's kind of your responsibility for either like a few weeks to a month, depending on the complexity of it. Because I was a junior animator, usually my shots weren't super complex; they were usually more on the shorter side. But yeah, so that you're responsible for that shot, you work on it, you show it to your supervisors, then you show it to your director, you get notes, you go back and you address the notes, you show it to them again, and that sort of is a back and forth until it's done and it's approved, and then you move on to the next one and you keep doing that until until the movie's done.
Do you have an overall concept of what the movie is going to be about? Because you're just working on this one little clip. So are you kind of talking to the other animators about their scenes and what they're working on?
Oh yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's some of that going on. Also, we're often, or every once in a while, we're shown screenings of the whole movie so far to see the process of it. Often, when we're in these meetings, getting our shots given to us, we'll see other shots given to other animators. So there's a lot of like seeing what everyone else is doing. It's not like we're trapped in this bubble where we have no idea what's
Right,
going on.
right. Yeah, I always think that's very interesting when they shoot a film and they'll shoot like the scenes at the end of the film first, and then it's like seems confusing as an actor. It would be confusing, but Was that a remote job? I know we're in this world of like everybody's working at home now. So I'm like, was it a normal job at that point? Like, did you have to go to
Right?
an office or?
Yeah, that was a normal job. I would go into work
And
every day,
where
and
were they
that
located?
right. So their studio is actually in Connecticut, which it was beautiful, especially in the fall. The studio was like located like essentially in the middle of nowhere, like in this big like forest area. So like anytime like during my lunch break, I would just go and walk around. And I would just like be in the middle of a forest. It's amazing. I think
That's
someone
nice.
saw like a bobcat or something once when they
Yeah.
were walking around. Like yeah, that in the middle of nowhere. But it was amazing just sort of having this nature around you, just fully accessible.
Well, and really kind of critical for artists. I mean, that's a perfect reset. Just go walk out in nature and kind of get your juices flowing
Oh,
again.
absolutely. It was very like important to my mental health at that point, just
Right.
being able to step away.
So I understand that Blue Sky Studios got bought out by Disney, right? And is that correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, unfortunately, Disney recently shut them down.
That was the last thing that I just saw was that they shut down. But you were still with them when that happened or no?
No, no, I haven't worked there for years now. I've worked at a few other companies since then, but I still had a lot of friends working there, so it was just really shocking and
Yeah.
bad news. And I I know that they've been putting their reels and portfolios out, and I'm hoping most of them either got work by now or in the process of finding new work.
Yeah.
But you know, they're all extremely talented, and I'm
Sure.
thinking that they'll probably be able to find new stuff soon. But still, just awful, awful news. You know, all these people, like so many of them had families, and they're gonna have to, you know, relocate, and it's a lot.
Yeah. That is a bummer. You know, sometimes after you get through the shock of that, though, like new studios will pop out up and, collaborations, and it can be even better than, when you're originally, I'm sure the guys that started Blue Sky had that certain vision. And then when you get kind of gobbled up by a bigger corporation, you lose some of that creative freedom. I'm guessing, but in just general speaking, like when that happens to companies, um,
Yeah,
so sometimes it's nice to get maybe a restart. um,
yeah. That's. I guess that could be the silver lining in that. But yeah, it's still just the. I think the biggest bummer for that is that Blue Sky was definitely viewed as one of those studios that was like super stable, right? That's why people started families working there. I mean, people
mm,
were working there for like 15 or more years just because
mhm.
like it had a reputation for being such a stable studio where you could like stay there forever. And then, you know, Disney comes along and, you know, destroys that. It just really, you know, it's just a bummer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm speculating. I don't know anything about the industry at all, but just from somebody completely outside reading that, it's almost like Blue Sky was creating some almost competitive type movies. So it would be behoove Disney to acquire them, but then to shut them down seems sad, you know.
Yeah, especially when they were finishing up a really good movie, and I mean, there's some articles saying that the movie might still get made, which is good.
Oh, good.
But
Yeah.
yeah, they're working on a movie called Nimona. It's based on a graphic novel, and yeah, from what I saw of it, it looked really, really cool. So I'm hoping somehow it does get finished.
Yeah, I hope so too, because we need that type of upliftment in the world.
Yes.
Um, so then I also saw that you work for Jam City and is it Squanch Games?
Yep. Yep.
Am I saying that right? Um, so that tell me about that. So what happened after you leave Blue Sky? Where
Right.
did you go?
Right after I left Blue Sky, I moved to California because I was living in New York at the time, and I worked at actually this other company, Sony Interactive Entertainment, for just a little bit, just like a few months. I worked on a Marvel game for a bit, and then I worked on a game called Concrete Genie. And then after that, I went to Jam City, and that's a mobile game company.
Hmm.
And so I worked on a few mobile games over there. I worked on a game called Wild Things, with which unfortunately got canceled. Um, I worked a little bit on a Frozen mobile game, and then I worked on a third project which hasn't been announced yet, so I can't really discuss that yet.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Fun.
but yeah, so yeah, mobile gaming was definitely an interesting change for me.
Is it the same kind of work, or is it a different, um, is it different sequence of how you do things?
It, like there are definitely similarities and differences.
Hmm.
But I think the biggest difference is just how I feel like the mobile game industry is definitely more chill, for lack of a better word. I feel working in feature films is definitely like, you have a director and supervisor constantly saying, okay, it has to be like this, has to be like this. And then, at least my personal experience at Jam City, I felt a lot more creative freedom. I was allowed to sort of, they sort of let me do my thing. And, I still got notes and feedback, but it was a lot more hands off, which I really enjoyed. I mean, working in feature film was awesome. Working at Blue Sky was awesome, but I think that I really do enjoy sort of having that creative freedom.
Sure, of course. Well, and it sounds like you're getting more experience, and so, the people at the company are like, oh, he's done this, like, let him run with it. You know. And so are you still working for Jam City then?
Right. So now after that, I went to Squanch Games.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I currently am right now. And they work on VR games and console games. And I'm currently, so what I'm doing for them is a little bit different. It's kind of more of a generalist role. So I'm doing a little bit of animation, but I'm also doing some editing, audio editing, even a little bit of rigging and lighting, some stuff for their marketing stuff. So this job is kind of cool because I feel like it allows me to kind of use all of my passions at once. Like I even have been doing a little composing,
Nice.
music composing for them as well. So I think out of all my roles, this one really, like, I could finally sort of express myself using all my passions instead of, having to focus on just one.
So you're currently down in Los Angeles then right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm currently working remotely for them, but yeah, I'm living in Los Angeles, Santa Monica specifically.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Um,
Nice to live
and
and work remote. Not mad about that at all.
yeah, no, I'm extremely lucky to have a job
That's a
during all
gaming.
this.
Well, so do you find it pretty interesting at how this all happens, and then gaming just blows up? It's like everybody's home playing games. I mean, what
Right,
a great,
exactly.
it's a perfect industry. I think it like grew exponentially this last year.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's like the arts, media, that's stuff that people are super reliant on right now because they're all trapped inside. I'm
Right.
extremely lucky to be in this industry that didn't, suffer due to
Yeah.
the pandemic.
Yeah. Everybody's looking for some kind of entertainment.
Exactly.
Wow. So do you think you're going to stay in the gaming industry for a while? That's the plan for now, or do you have other aspirations?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think right now I'm sticking where I am because yeah, I feel like this is a good job. I think I'm getting a lot out of it, but I don't know. I don't really know what the future holds because, I mean, a few years ago, I never would have thought I would have been in the gaming industry because, it was a dream of mine for a while to work in feature film. But I think that the important thing is to know that your career path is rarely going to be what you expect it to be, and it's rarely going to be this linear thing. I feel like it's sort of
Sure.
this line that just goes all over the place, up and down, left and right. And I think that that's something that's really important, is that you don't have to always do that thing that you studied or that you thought you were going to do. It's okay to change your mind. I feel like that's something that's really important to know in this industry.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's almost, I think that's kind of true of any really arts oriented business. It's so fluid and ever changing. And as a creative, you're like always growing and looking to, challenge yourself on that next creative project. Do you have also your side? Do you do anything on the side or of this, like, not like on the side, but like, I know you have your smaller animations that I see on TikTok and YouTube. Is that just a side passion that you do for fun, or is that something that you um, I guess the point what I'm getting at is that I find that most creatives are like multifaceted, like they've got their irons in many different fires.
Yeah, I mean,
My experience.
yeah, my YouTube channel and all of that. Yeah, I do enjoy creating things on the side, writing songs, making animations to go with them. That's always sort of been a creative outlet for me.
Mhm. Yeah, your songs are great. Like that's very,
Oh,
very
thank
cool.
you.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked that you didn't have any kind of theater experience, right? Really surprising to me. I mean, I danced professionally years and years ago and was in that industry for a long time. And yeah, like I'm totally shocked that you didn't do that.
I've just always been fascinated with it, and I've always just sort of practiced with it. I mean, I've been writing songs since I was a little kid. I mean, granted, the songs I was writing when I was a little kid were not very good, but
Right. Well, I mean, you're creative, so it makes sense that writing and songs and animation all kind of go together. Um, is there something specific, like somebody who was younger and they were thinking they wanted to really get into doing animation, maybe they couldn't afford to go to college. Is there some path that you would suggest that they could to like maybe get in with an animation studio and just kind of intern there for a while? Or what, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Are there certain things, programs that they would have to know regardless if they wanted to do this?
yeah, so there really are many paths to get where you want to go. I don't think you need to go to art college in order to get a career in art. There are resources online. You can take online classes. There's things like Animation Mentor and I Animate, which
Oh,
still costs money, but I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's cheaper than going to a 4-year program in college. Um, and there are like tutorials online. You can download software and play around with it. Autodesk Maya, there are different versions of it. I think you can like download a student version either for free, or I think there's like a discount. Um, there's other software called Blender, which is completely free. I don't know how to use it, but I know it's been getting pretty popular. A lot of people use that. Um, so definitely, there are definitely things out there. There are ways to practice on your own and gain that knowledge. You
mm.
know, so definitely, there are definitely multiple paths to get to where you want to go, and that path doesn't have to be art college.
I 100% agree with you on that. There's a lot of different ways to get there if you're passionate about it, but that's really helpful. I'll put those in the show notes so people will know where they can go and kind of research that if that works for them. I just this kind of a random question. When I was looking at like the stop motion artists, and then I was looking at the animators, do stop motion and animation ever work together?
Well, I mean, stop motion, I guess, is technically considered a form of animation, and there's stop motion, there's traditional animation, there's computer animation, 2D, 3D. But yes, sometimes there is sort of like I know that like the studio that made like Coraline,
Right.
Paranorman, Box Trolls, they often combine their different methods. So sometimes in a scene there'll be like, for example, the main character will be animated with stop motion, but then the background characters might be animated in CG, in 3D. They also do a thing there. They've been doing it for a few years now, where they'll actually have computer animators animate the faces, and then
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
yeah. So you know about that, right? How
No, I
they
don't know about
take.
it. Tell me about it. I just,
Oh,
in my
okay.
mind, I was thinking, why don't they do that? Because that's the most complicated part of the actual stop motion is changing the expressions of the face, you know?
Right, yeah. So essentially that's like a job you can have there. It's just a 3D facial animator.
Huh. Oh,
So
interesting.
they'll have animators animating the faces, and then they'll 3D print all of those faces and then use them on the stop motion puppet characters. So
Wow. That is,
yeah, it's
and
really
my
cool.
mind just got blown right there. Like, I mean, that makes perfect sense. But for somebody, on the outside looking in, she's like, why can't they? That just seems so tedious that they have to do. But that totally makes sense to me now. Wow, technology is just incredible. Don't you think it's kind of interesting that we have all this technology, but we still like that old school look of that,
Yeah, it is very fascinating. And if you notice, a lot of movies, a lot of 3D movies nowadays are trying to be a lot more stylized and mimic those older styles. Like if you think about like the Peanuts movie, how they try to mimic that stop motion style, or the Lego movie, which I feel like a lot of people probably don't know that it's computer animated. It's not stop motion. I mean, when I first saw it, I was 100% convinced it was stop motion animation. So I was so shocked to learn that it was all done on the computer.
Wow, they even fooled you. That's amazing.
No, yeah, I mean the technology has just become incredible, and like you said, it's like people are fascinated with mimicking these old styles. I mean, if you think about like games nowadays, a lot of indie games are sort of mimicking that 8-bit style, or just the
Hmm.
retro style of older
Hmm.
games. It's a fascinating thing, right? I guess like just that nostalgia that everyone feels nowadays.
I think so. And I think with, just every technology is just zooming so quickly and you are, I don't know, almost kind of crave that, like just hands in the clay tactile experience. Like you said, nostalgia, it kind of just brings you back to something simpler, a little escapism.
For sure.
Wow, this is just amazing. Gosh, you're so talented, Kevin. I can't even.
Thank you.
I would love to ask you, for somebody starting out, what would be your words of advice for them? I mean, you've already said that there's a lot of different paths, and but if somebody did go to college, like what would you say to that person? What would you say to your younger self, actually? Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, I think something that's really important to always keep in mind is that you don't need to be the best. It's like it's impossible to be the best. First of all, there's always going to be someone out there better than you. So I think it's really important to just sort of try to find your own unique voice and put that out there, because I think that's what's going to grab people's attention. It's not you being the best technically or anything, but just having this voice that people haven't seen before, and just shouting with it, just being loud about it, putting it out there. um, because I think that's the way that you're really going to find yourself in this crazy industry.
Yeah. Is it a small industry, or is it like, does everybody kind of know each other?
It is pretty small, yeah. I would say it's definitely small. I'm always like finding people that I know that know other people that I know, and yeah, so definitely very small. So I think another important thing is to be nice to people, and don't burn
Yeah.
bridges, because that will come around. And
Do you know, nobody has ever given that advice on the show, and that is the truth right there, because you never know, that person may be someone you're asking for a job one day. You know, that's
exactly.
that's building relationships and being genuine. So when you were saying like really just put it out there, are you saying that it's a good idea? Like if you are young and you want to pursue this, that even if it's just not perfect, like put it up on TikTok or put it up on YouTube and just start teaching yourself that.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say definitely get your stuff out there. And you know, it's difficult, especially if you feel like your stuff isn't there yet, and maybe the internet will think that too. And it can be tough. You know, people's responses to things often aren't going to be what you want them to be. But I think it is important to just sort of get yourself out there, I feel. But you
Yeah,
got to do what you're comfortable with too. You know, if you feel like you still just want to make stuff for yourself and you want to work on yourself before you put yourself out there, that's totally understandable too. But I think it's also important to not be afraid and to just give it a shot, because you never know if your work might, you know, resonate with someone, and
right,
you might build a following accidentally. So
right. And I think whatever your work is, whoever is you will attract your people that will it will resonate with, and then you'll build your community. And
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
this is wonderful, Kevin. I appreciate you so much. I mean, wow. I'm so excited to keep following you and watch what you do because you're so talented, and I hope you do a lot more singing and dancing.
Oh, thank you so much. No, it
I'll
was
teach you
really
how to do
awesome to be
a
here.
real shuffle ball change. Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really cool just to sort of talk about art with someone.
I know. I know we're like so isolated right now, and artists are
Exactly.
typically isolated anyway, but to talk to other
Very
artists
true.
is just so fun, especially in different fields of it. It's just really so fascinating to me. I love
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yay.